Some marriages don't fall apart because of betrayal, screaming matches, or one unforgivable decision. They grow apart because two decent people, become very good at managing a life together and slowly stop sharing one. If your marriage feels more like roommates than partners, the first warning sign's not always fighting. Often, the relationship becomes almost entirely operational. You talk about the bills, the appointments, the grandchildren, the groceries, and what needs to be repaired. The life gets managed, but the two people inside stop feeling known. That does not automatically mean the marriage is over. It means the marriage may be functioning better than it's connecting. This conversation is about emotional distance in an otherwise safe relationship. It's not about coercive control, abuse, active addiction, repeated betrayal, or immediate danger. Those situations are different and may require qualified professional, legal, or safety support. In the last video, I described the difference between distance, damage, and deadlock. And today, we're looking closer at distance, what it looks like, how it develops, and what you can do before you mistake disconnection for proof that nothing is left. The first sign is an operational marriage. You may talk throughout the day and still have very little personal conversation. Most exchanges begin with, "Did you call? What time are we leaving? Who's picking up?" Or, "Did you pay?" There's nothing wrong with practical conversation. Every shared life requires it. The problem begins when logistics become the whole relationship. A marriage can run efficiently while both people feel lonely. The calendar's coordinated, the family's cared for, the house works, but neither person is saying, "This is what I've been thinking about. This is what I'm worried about," or "This is what I want now." The relationship is working as a system, but it's no longer working as a place where two people bring their inner lives. The second sign is that curiosity disappears. Long married couples know a great deal about each other's histories. That familiarity can create the illusion of what we also know as the current version of the person. But the woman you were 10 years ago may not be the woman you are now. The same is true of your spouse. Priorities change. Fears change, energy changes, retirement, health, loss, children leaving home, caregiving, and simple maturity can alter what matters to a person. Relationship researchers describe intimacy as a process. One person reveals something real, and the other responds with understanding, validation, and care. When the sharing stops or the response stops, closeness becomes thinner, even when the household remains peaceful. Curiosity sounds simple, but it's one of the ways we keep updating our knowledge about each other. Not "How was your day?" followed by half listening. More like, "What's been on your mind lately? What are you looking forward to? What feels different to you now?" When those questions disappear, couples can know each other's past and become strangers to each other's present. The third sign is that small attempts to connect go unanswered. Most connection does not begin with serious conversation at the kitchen table. It begins with small moments. "Come look at this. Listen to what happened today. Sit down with me for a minute." A joke, a touch on the shoulder, a story that takes longer than necessary because the person's not only sharing information, she's asking for attention. Sometimes the other person is tired, distracted, or busy. Missing one moment means very little. The pattern matters. When those small attempts are repeatedly ignored, dismissed, corrected, or met with irritation, people eventually stop making them. Not because they no longer want connection, but because reaching and not being received begins to feel worse than remaining quiet. Then both people may say, "We have nothing to talk about," without recognizing how many small conversations ended before they even began. The fourth sign is peaceful disengagement. People often assume that a troubled marriage must be loud. Some are. Others become unusually quiet. There may be very little conflict because very little that's personal is being brought into the relationship. Each person develops separate routines, separate interests, separate screens, and separate ways of handling disappointment. Calm is not the problem. Research on long-term marriages has found that many older couples become less negative and more positive in the way they interact. A peaceful marriage can be a very healthy marriage. The warning is calm without curiosity, affection, vulnerability, or repair. It's not peace created by trust. It's peace created by avoiding anything that might require emotional effort. You stop arguing, but you also stop reaching. The fifth sign is that the future begins to feel separate. Healthy couples do not have to want every same activity. Separate interests can be good for a marriage. Independence is not disconnection. The concern is when you imagine the next 5 or 10 years and your spouse is present only as logistical detail or not present at all. You think about retirement, travel, where you want to live, how you want to spend your time, or who you want to become. And it no longer feels natural to ask, what are we building together? Sometimes separate plans reflect healthy individuality. Sometimes they reflect quiet relief at the idea of living around each other instead of with each other. The difference is not whether you spend every hour together. The difference is whether you still have a shared we alongside 2 healthy individual lives. I've been married for more than 3 decades. One thing long marriage has taught me is that knowing someone else's history is not the same as continuing to know the person. My husband's not exactly the man I married, and I'm not exactly the woman he married. That's not a failure of marriage. Growth is supposed to happen, but long marriages require occasional reintroduction. We can't assume that because we know the old stories, the old fears, and the old dreams, that we automatically understand what's happening inside the person sitting across from us today. A marriage can survive change when both people remain willing to meet each other again. So this week, I want you to have what I call a current version conversation. Don't hand your spouse a list of questions and turn the evening into an interview. Choose one question. Both of you answer it. Your only job while the other person speaks is to understand, not correct, defend, solve, or explain. You can ask, what changed in you during the past few years that I may not fully understand? What part of your life feels most meaningful or alive right now? Where do you feel connected to me and where do you miss me? Or what would you like our marriage to feel like during the next 5 years? Choose one. Give the conversation 20 uninterrupted minutes. Put the phones away. Ask one follow-up question about something you didn't know. The goal is not to solve the marriage in one sitting. The goal is to discover whether there's still curiosity, honesty, and willingness between you. Because distance is not repaired by guessing what the other person needs. It begins to change when 2 people become willing to know each other again. Growing apart is not proof that love disappeared. Sometimes it's evidence that the attention moved elsewhere for too long. A good marriage can become distant. It can also become close again. Reconnection requires 2 people who are willing to turn toward the current version of each other. The next question is the one many women are afraid to ask. Can you reinvent yourself without outgrowing your marriage? Because reconnecting shouldn't require you to shrink back into the woman you used to be. That's where we're going next. Subscribe and stay with me. I'm Dr. Linda, and I'll see you in the next video.